Okay, good afternoon all. From morning here in my area, there was no power, so just power came. So I'm taking class at 1 o'clock today, and since day after tomorrow we have IA also. Today I don't take more amount uh, of your preparation time. So just I complete one topic, then you carry on your preparation. Okay. So before going to today's topic, just I want to revise in previous class what all the things we have discussed. So one very important topic I was discussing, that is IoT access technologies. In this IoT access technologies, there are some 6 to 7 technologies are there. IEEE 802, point 15.4 and so on. Like this, some 6 to 7 access technologies are there, and for each and every access technology, we have to write these 6 points. That is the standardization and alliances, physical layer, MAC layer, topology, security, and competitive technologies. So, in your exam, they may ask you any one of these IoT access technologies in which you have to explain all these 6 points, or else sometimes they particularly ask any one IoT access technology, and in that IoT access technology, they will ask you to explain particularly only physical layer, MAC layer, and topology, or physical layer, MAC layer, or and security, like this. Any one of these, any three of these 6 points, they may ask you. Okay. So in that one, first IoT access technology, what I already started was IEEE 802.15.4. Okay, these all are technologies which are used to connect the smart objects in our IoT network, or devices in our IoT network. Okay, so these all things we have discussed. Inside this, the first already point already I discussed, that is standardization and alliances. Alliances is nothing but here group of companies which will give you permission to use some protocols or their products, and also they uh, give certifications or certify, so this product is very good, like that. Okay, so standards are there, some standard protocols are there. So here in these protocols, very important protocol is a Zigbee. Okay, so Zigbee, what is Zigbee? Zigbee is a protocol. Okay, so protocol which is a well-known protocol or most commonly used protocol for these IoT access technologies. And one more protocol is there, that is 6LoWPAN. Why it is 6? It is nothing but it is actually it is a network layer protocol. It is, that is IPv4, IPv6, I think already you heard, right? So this protocol is also one another form of IPv6. So it is a 6 and low power wireless personal area network. Okay, low power wireless personal area network protocol it is. So that protocol is used for this network. What type of network? Low power wireless personal area network, and it is a sub part of or another form of IPv6. So it is beginning with a 6 here. Okay. So the most important part of this topic is in a standardization. In your exam, they will ask you most of the times to explain this Zigbee, which is a most commonly used protocol and a very popular protocol, Zigbee. Okay. So what I already discussed in previous class. Okay, today just once again briefly I revise it, then I go to next one more important protocol, that is Zigbee IP, which is a next version of this Zigbee. Okay, so these two protocols are very very important. You have to focus on these two. Apart from these three, still there are three more protocols are there: ISA, wireless HART, and Thread. Okay, so these all are protocol stacks which are using IEEE 802.15.4. So here, if you look into this Zigbee protocol stack, so the lower layer contains a physical layer, MAC layer, and MAC layer is the bridge between a physical layer and data link layer. And data link layer is not present here actually physically, or it is not appearing here. And on top of this MAC layer and physical layer, there are some network and security layer is there, and on top of it application support layer is there, on top of it application profiles are there. Okay, so here if you consider these all physical layer and MAC layer, so here these layers are considered as a lower level layers. Okay, then these all are called as higher layers. Okay, and here in the earlier when we started to use this Zigbee, in the initial stage, some around 100 companies were started to use it and they supported it a lot. But by time to time, over some time, these number of companies which were supporting this Zigbee was increased to 400 companies, and these all 400 companies were member of Zigbee Alliance. Okay, so these all things you have to write. And also this Zigbee Alliance tried a lot to develop or to support still more this Zigbee to become a IoT solution. Okay, so why they wanted to make this Zigbee as a IoT solution to connect the smart objects in IoT network. So it means that they wanted to make it as a most dominant or most commonly or well known or popular solution or protocol or a technology to connect the smart objects in a IoT network. So they wanted to make Zigbee as a IoT solution, and these Zigbee solutions are having the aim or goal to connect the smart objects and sensors. Okay, so then whatever the products were developed by different manufacturers or vendors, those all products should interoperate. Interoperate means they wanted to make these all products to communicate with each other, to exchange the information or data. So which products? The products which were manufactured by different manufacturing companies or different vendors. So these all products, they expected to communicate with each other, to exchange the data. And also these all products should be compatible with this Zigbee. It means they should support this Zigbee. It means these all products are compatible with this Zigbee, and also these all products are certified by the Zigbee Alliance. So such type of products they wanted. The products should be maybe manufactured by different manufacturers or different companies or vendors, but they all products, these all Zigbee Alliance. Okay, it means group of companies. They wanted to certify them as a they are compatible with the Zigbee and they will interoperate or communicate with each other. Okay, so then this Zigbee uses this IEEE 802.15.4 in the lower physical layer and MAC layers. And also apart from these, there are other layers are there, network and security layer. As I already told you, network layer uses IP, IPv4, IPv6, and so on. So its own protocols, and also it is used to calculate the routing paths. Okay, since it is a network layer, it is used to calculate the routing paths with the help of RPL protocol also. RPL is a popular protocol for routing. Okay, then also it is used to manage the routing tables. Then this network layer is also responsible for creating the topologies. Which type of topology? So most of the times this network layer creates the mesh topology. Okay, usually it creates the mesh topology, or very rarely sometimes it may be star topology or tree topology also. Okay, so network layer responsibility is to prepare the topology for its network, and most of the times it will be mesh topology, or else in a rare cases it will be star or tree topology. And what is the use of or purpose of security layer? It uses the algorithms, encryption algorithms, for providing the security. So particularly it uses AES encryption algorithm. Okay, then and that's all. What are all the application? What are the application profiles which is in a top layer? So applications are home automation and smart energy. Smart energy. Remember this is word smart energy or application, because in the next topic also we will use this same application, that is smart energy. Okay, this is about Zigbee. So you may be asked to explain the Zigbee protocol stack for 8 or 10 marks. Okay. Then I move to next one more important protocol, that is a Zigbee IP. See, its name itself is a Zigbee IP. What is IP? Internet protocol, right? So definitely this is the protocol which is used in a network layer, but there are so many other versions are also there for IPv6 is there, ICMPv6 is there, 6LOWPAN, ND is there, right? So just now I told you about 6LOWPAN, but one more thing is added to this one, that is ND. What is ND? That is a neighbor discovery protocol, and also if you observe in this diagram, one more protocol is there, that is RPL. What is RPL? RPL is a very popular protocol for a routing purpose. Okay, so then here, as it is similarly like our Zigbee, here also we have physical layer at the bottom and MAC layer at the bottom. That is, both of them are treated as a lower layers. And here particularly these layers are for which technology? That is 802.15.4. So particularly in which year? In the year 2006. So year also we have mentioned here. And on top of these two basic lower layers, so there is one adaptation layer is there, and particularly if you observe, the adaptation layer is prefixed with 6LOWPAN. What is this? Just now I told you it is another form of IPv6. So here this IPv6 network layer is using this IPv6 protocol as a adaptation layer. And also in the next layer, when you come to this network layer, once again here IPv6 is there, also there ICMPv6 is there, and in addition to 6LOWPAN, one more is added here, one more protocol, new protocol, that is a neighbor discovery. And in addition to this one, here we use a routing protocol. So these all together, it will be considered as a network layer. And on top of this network layer, if you observe carefully here, two most common and most popular transport layer protocols are the TCP and UDP. So this layer is a transport layer. Then on top of this one, there is a application profile layer is there, particularly here that application, one example we are considering it as a Smart Energy 2.0, which is a version of this application, Smart Energy 2.0 profile. So this protocol stack also may be asked in your exam, either Zigbee or else Zigbee IP. So which because both of them are most popular. So when Zigbee IP was introduced, by introducing this one, again the IEEE 802.15.4 supported the Zigbee IP. It means that if you remember Zigbee, that Zigbee was developed based on this IEEE 802.15.4. On the base of this one, on the foundation of this one only, Zigbee was developed. And again, on that Zigbee, again we are extending that Zigbee to Zigbee IP, right? So since this IEEE 802.15.4 is supporting Zigbee a lot, these Zigbees keep on developing or updating. Okay, so then in addition to this Zigbee IP, in this particular Zigbee IP protocol stack, we started to use IP protocol also, as well as we have introduced TCP UDP transport layer protocol also, which were not present in Zigbee, original Zigbee, right? So here we started to use IP and TCP UDP protocols also. Okay, then here Zigbee specific layers, particularly Zigbee specific layers are now usually present only at the top of this protocol stack for the applications. Okay, so of course if you look into this protocol stack diagram, you can see here, so the layers which are completely dependent upon Zigbee specific layers. Okay, so these all are present only at the top of this protocol stack for all the applications. And particularly here we are considering one application, that is a smart energy application, particularly 2.0 version. Smart energy is an application of Zigbee IP. Okay, so Zigbee IP is a critical part. It is a part of this profile, or it is a part of this application. Which application? Smart energy application. And specifications from the Zigbee Alliance. So Zigbee Alliance is nothing but a group of companies. Okay, so this application, that is smart energy, so its main intention, its main goal was to connect the smart meterings. It means since we are talking about this application, no, which application it is? Smart energy. If you want to take examples for the smart energy, to connect the smart meterings, like smart gas meters, smart water meters. Okay, so in our residential, in our house, in our home, in our appliances, whatever we are using, so those all devices, if we want to connect them, so you can consider these all applications as a smart energy. Okay, smart metering. So you know our power meters is a smart meters nowadays, and water meters are also smart meters nowadays, and gas meters are also smart meters nowadays. So for these all type of metering applications, we can use this smart energy. Okay, so and for any residential energy management systems also, we can use this smart energy. So residential energy management system means what type of management systems? See, in our home, we use solar energy, we use gas energy, we use some fuel energies also. It may be any wood, or it may be any coal, or it may be any petrol, or it may be any diesel. Okay, so power energy is there, solar energy is there, gas energy is there, wind energy. So many different varieties or various types of energies we what we use in our house or in our home for our day-to-day life. So to manage them also, we can use this smart energy applications. It is also coming under this application. For that, we can use this ZigBee IP protocol. Okay. In fact, this ZigBee IP was designed for particularly for this smart energy, but it is not only made for a smart energy application. Apart from this only smart energy application, we can use this ZigBee IP for other applications are also. Okay, it is not limited, or it is not made only for this smart energy 2.0. We can use this ZigBee IP in other applications are also, which are requiring or which need standard based IoT stack. Okay, so which need a IoT stack, those all applications can use this ZigBee IP. Okay, so ZigBee IP protocol stack already I have shown you here. So you have to draw this diagram like this. So physical layer, MAC layer, adaptation layer, and here some list of protocols, and here also list of transport layer protocols, and here application profile, and particularly which application we are discussing, that is smart energy. And ZigBee IP is not only made for smart energy. ZigBee IP can be used by some other applications also, which require or which need IoT stack. Okay, then this ZigBee IP supports 6LoWPAN. As I already told you, it is a nothing but it is a form of IPv6 protocol only. Okay, so this is a protocol, or it is also called as a technology, which is a IPv6 low power wireless personal area network, and it is supporting this protocol as an adaptation layer. Okay, it is called as adaptation layer. So then at the network layer, all ZigBee nodes are going to support this IPv6, ICMPv6, and 6LoWPAN, particularly which WPAN ND, that is neighbor discovery. And it is also using RPL, which is a popular routing protocol, RPL routing protocol. For which purpose? For routing of the packets. Okay, and in which topology or in which network, as just now I told you, so that network layer is responsible for creating the topology. Particularly, most generally it creates the mesh topology. So very in very rare case it creates the star topology or tree topology. So most of the times, since it is a mesh topology only, here I am telling you particularly explicitly that in the mesh network or mesh topology, to transmit or to transfer the packets, it uses this routing protocol, that is RPL. Okay, and as I already told you, here we are introducing the TCP and UDP transport layer protocol also. So both the TCP and UDP are also supported by this ZigBee IP. And for what purpose they are supported, and what is the use of these TCP and UDP? So already I think you have studied them in computer networks. So these two are used for both connection oriented and connectionless service. The difference between connection oriented and connectionless, I think already you know. In connection oriented, so in between sender and receiver, if the sender wants to send any message or any data, that sender first handshakes with the receiver. It means that first it will prepares the path, or it decides the path to reach that destination. Then it transmits the data. But in connectionless, what happens? So it will not establish any connection. It will not decide any connection. Simply it's keep on forwarding the data from one router to another router, one router to another router. So like that, the packet will received by the receiver, but here there will be no any guarantee of a successful receiving of a data. Okay, so this is the difference between connection oriented and connectionless. Then let me to move to second point of a first access technology. Okay, so that is second point is a physical layer. So here 802.15.4. So this is standard. Okay, this is a standard technology, right? So this standard technology, which is a original technology, it is a, at the initial stage it was only 802.15.4. okay, initial version it is. So later on it was keep on updated. Okay, so this standard or original version was there. It supported n number of physical options, physical layer options. Physical layer options means what? Physical layer options means the way of transmitting the data, okay, in physical layer. So what are the possibilities are there? How I can transmit my data? How I can transfer my data in physical layer to the MAC layer? So these physical options, usually we call them as physical options, physical layer options. So this original standard was supporting, or it has provided us n number of options to transport the data. Okay, so these options were using the frequency from 2.4 gigahertz to sub gigahertz frequencies. Already I told you about sub gigahertz. Even though their capacity is in terms of megahertz, they are sometimes very much essential than gigahertz. Okay, they will get so much popularity than gigahertz. Okay, so these options are using the frequency range from 2.4 gigahertz to sub gigahertz frequencies in particularly industrial, scientific and medical bands. That is, in short, I call it as ISM. Okay, and this original 15.4 in the year 2003, this standard specified in the year 2003. Next, it reduced the number of physical options. Okay, so because it started to provide only 3 physical options based on the modulation technology, which is called as a DSSS. DSSS is nothing but direct sequence spread spectrum. Based on this, because the usage of this modulation technology in the year 2003, this 15.4 started to reduce the number of physical options, and it came to 3 physical options. That is, it is providing only 3 physical options. Okay, so then this DSS, we will see this one, then we will go to what are those 3 physical options. So this DSSS is a modulation technology. Modulation, demodulation, already I think you know. So DSSS is a modulation technology in which this signal will be intentionally will be spread, or it will be propagated, or that signal will be sent in the frequency domain so that we can get the higher bandwidth. It means already some frequency is there, and since this signal is also adding to that frequency, then definitely we get the higher bandwidth or greater bandwidth. Then the original physical layer transmission options are those 3 physical layer of transmission options. They are here. Here I was just calling them as a physical option, right? So which option they are? The transmission options which are available in a physical layer. Okay, so I can use a 2.4 gigahertz, I can use a 915 megahertz, I can use 868 megahertz based on my requirement. So then if this is 2.4 gigahertz, it is using 16 channels, and this one is using 10 channels, and it is using only one channel. And here the data rate will be 250 kbps, and here the data rate will be 40 kbps, and here the data rate will be 20 kbps. So however the frequency range is reducing here, the number of channels also reducing, as well as the data rate is also reducing here. I hope you are understanding. It is just like watching a YouTube video with our own customization of a video quality. Okay, so it may be 480p, 720p, or 1080p, like this. Okay, so Like this, here also we can use these all physical layer transmission options. And but even though there are three physical layer transmission options are there, but in the entire world, most commonly and maximum number of times, the people are using this one, which frequency, that is 2.4 gigahertz band, which is operated in the entire worldwide. Okay, and 915 megahertz is used only in the two regions or two corners of the world, that is, one is North America and another one is South America. And 868 megahertz is also used in three regions, particularly in Europe and in the Middle East and in Africa. Then what about us in India? What we are using? Of course, we are using which one? That is 2.4 gigahertz in Asia, that is in India. Okay, then these IEEE standard, which was 15.4 in the year 2003, then 2006, 2011, 2015. So this all updations of this 15.4, it introduced some more physical communication options. So in the year 2003, there was only three physical options, but however, it was keep on updating in the year 2006. Some more options are added, and in the year 2011, some more options were added, and in the year 2015, and again some more physical communication or physical transmission options were added. Okay, so here we are going to see what are those options apart from these three. So those are phase shift keying and amplitude shift keying. I think you know these technologies, modulation technologies. Okay, so here first one was QO, that is a QPSK. Okay, so what is this QPSK? It is a quadrature phase shift keying. Okay, quadrature phase shift keying modulation. So this is it is a part of this DSSS only, because DSSS is a modulation technology which was used in the physical layer. So then in the next in its advancement, we are going to use this OQPSK, that is quadrature phase shift keying modulation. Then BPSK. Okay, this is also based on this DSSS only, and it is started to use a binary phase shift keying modulation technology. Then one more is a ASK. It is not phase shift, it is amplitude shift. These are the only difference. The first two are phase shift keying options, okay, communication options, and this one is a amplitude shift keying option. Okay, so this is a parallel sequence spread spectrum. You can see here it is a direct sequence, but this one is a parallel sequence. Okay, so this is a parallel sequence spread spectrum, that is a PSSS physical, and which was using the amplitude shift keying ASK and also BPSK. So it is using both ASK as well as BPSK. PSS is an advanced encoding scheme. It is an encoding scheme that is going to provide the increased range to us. It is going to provide us increased throughput, increased data rates, and signal integrity compared to DSSS. What do you mean by signal integrity? The constant signal. Okay, so there will be no any variation in the signal. That is called as signal integrity. Okay, so that is compared to DSSS. This PSSS is providing us so much benefits like this. Okay, ASK uses amplitude shifts instead of phase shifts to signal the different bit values. Okay, so then this is actually the frame of data, that is data frame. This is the format of data frame, what we can use or transmit in a physical layer. So this entire data frame is divided into two parts. The first part is called as header part, second part is called as a data part, or you can call it as a header unit and data unit. The header unit is again divided into two parts, that is synchronization header and physical header. The synchronization header is again divided into two fields or two parts, that is preamble, and one more is the start of the frame delimiter. So here this physical header is nothing but it is a frame length. It is nothing but it is giving us some information, that is length of the frame. or the length of the entire data. Okay, so totally this header field is 6 bytes length, 6 bytes length. In that also, this synchronization header is a 5 bytes length, and synchronization header is a 5 bytes length, and physical header is a 1 byte length. So 6 bytes of header part is here, or header unit is there. And what about this data unit? Data unit is nothing but it is a physical service data unit. So in short, you can call it as a PSDU, whose length is ranging from 0 to 127 bytes. It means there may be no any data. They may be 1 byte data, 2 byte data, 3 byte data, 4 byte data, up to 127 bytes of data. So this physical service data unit is there. No, it is your actual message what you want to send to the receiver. Your actual data it is. Okay. But in addition to actual data, there will be some other information in that data frame, right? So that in additional information is this one. And here, what do you mean by this preamble? This preamble takes 4 bytes again. In a synchronization header, totally 5 bytes are there. So in that also, again, preamble will take 4 bytes, and what it indicates, what message or what it tells to the receiver. It tells to the receiver that the actual data or the frame starts from here. Okay, starts from here. It is indicating that this is the beginning of the frame. This is the start of the frame. So how much data it is taking? How much bits it is taking? 4 bytes. 4 bytes it is taking here. Okay, 4 bytes. If it is taking 4 bytes, it means how many bits it is taking? 8 4s are 32. 32 bits it is taking to just indicate or to tell to the receiver that this is the beginning of the frame. 32 bits, you just imagine sequence of zeros and ones. 32 zeros and ones. And it is telling to the receiver that this is the beginning of the frame. And after that, again, 1 byte of start of a frame delimiter is there. This delimiter is taking 1 byte. Out of 5 byte, preamble took 4 bytes, and start of the frame delimiter is taking 1 byte. And what this 1 byte is telling, start of the frame delimiter. So this is telling that after this delimiter, actual data frame starts. Okay, so after this delimiter, it means after this 8 bits, actual data frame starts. It means that it is just telling to the receiver that here preamble is ended, and now onwards data frame will be started. So to tell only this much information, we are using 1 byte of delimiter it is. Okay, and it is essential. We cannot ignore it. Then next 1 byte of frame length is there. It means that it is going to give the clear information about the length of the entire frame to the receiver. How much length is there? That information is stored here. And here it is your payload. Payload is nothing but your actual message, what you want to send to the receiver. This is a physical layer data format. Okay, format of physical layer format, data format. See here, it's a physical layer frame. It is showing, that diagram is showing a frame. Which frame? Data frame. Okay, data frame for the physical layer, for particularly which technology? 15.4. Synchronization header. Synchronization header of the frame is made up of or composed of again 2 fields, that is preamble and start of the frame delimiter. Okay, and here preamble field itself is taking the 4 bytes. It means 32 bits it is taking. Okay, for parallel construction. And it is in preamble, what exactly and how exactly that data is stored, that we want to see now. So it is stored in the form of a pattern. That pattern or that sequence of zeros and ones are indicating, or they are telling to the receiver that this is the start of the frame. Okay, this is the start of the frame, and this preamble is used for synchronization of the data transmission. What do you mean by synchronization of data transmission? It means that they are going to maintain the speed of sender and receiver, so that there should not be a vary in speed of sender and receiver. If that speed of sender and receiver varies, then data loss can happen. Always remember, the speed of sender as well as the speed of data receiver should be same. right? So that is called as synchronization of data transmission, which is accomplished or which is achieved by this preamble, or which is helping to data synchronization, data transmission synchronization is preamble. And the start of the frame delimiter, as I already told, 1 byte will be occupied by this delimiter, which informs or tells to the receiver that the frame contents starts immediately after this byte. Okay, so then physical header portion contains, it just tells us, or it just tells to the receiver that the length of the frame. Okay, so then here as I already told you, so here it lets the receiver to know how much total data to expect in a physical service data unit, that is PSDU portion of the this 15.4. Actually it is I think I made a mistake here. It is a 15.4, not 4.15. Okay, so then the PSDU is the data field or payload. As a last unit I already told you, which is a data unit. It is our actual data field which contains our actual message, which is called as payload. Okay, so this is about physical layer, and it's previously already I discussed the Zigbee IP protocol stack, and its previous topic was Zigbee protocol stack. Please go through these all things. Very important questions I am discussing, and then in the next class I have to move to third information, that is MAC layer. Now we completed physical layer. Now I go to MAC layer in the next class. So like this, still three informations are there. Security is there, competitive technologies is there. These all 6 points we have to discuss for this 15.4 technology. Like this, these 6 points we have to discuss for the remaining all access technologies. Okay, so I wind up the class today here, and wish you all the very best for your first IA. Have a nice day. Keep studying. Now you can exit from this meeting.